We prepare for the risks we can see, but history's greatest disasters were the ones no one anticipated. Here's why your blind spots might be more dangerous than your known threats. We humans pride ourselves on our ability to predict the future, from weather forecasts to stock market trends. But there's a paradox at the heart of prediction. We're excellent at anticipating routine events, yet blindsided by the ones that truly matter. Consider the story of NASA astronaut Victor Prather. After successfully testing a spacesuit at the edge of space, he died not from any complex technical failure, but from drowning when water rushed into his suit through an open faceplate during a routine ocean rescue. Despite NASA's meticulous planning, perhaps the most planning-centric organization ever, a simple, unforeseen risk proved fatal. This pattern repeats throughout history. The Great Depression, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis, but that virtually no one saw them coming. As financial advisor Carl Richards puts it, risk is what's left over after you think you've thought of everything. The most dangerous threats aren't necessarily the biggest ones. They're the ones hiding in our blind spots, and they cause outsized damage precisely because no one prepares for them. In a world obsessed with prediction models and forecasts, we remain vulnerable to these invisible risks, the ones no one sees coming. In 1961, NASA astronaut Victor Prather ascended to the edge of space in a high-altitude balloon to test a new spacesuit. Every detail was meticulously planned by thousands of experts. The suit worked perfectly in the hostile environment of near space. But as Prather descended, he made a small, seemingly inconsequential decision. He opened his helmet's faceplate for some fresh air. When he splashed down in the ocean where a helicopter waited, Prather slipped while connecting to the rescue line. This minor mishap shouldn't have been fatal. The suit was designed to be watertight, but with that open faceplate, water rushed in. Prather drowned mere minutes after completing a near-perfect mission. This tragedy illustrates what I call the Prather principle. Catastrophes often stem not from lack of planning, but from the one thing no one saw coming. We see this pattern everywhere. Kodak invented digital photography, but failed to see how it would transform their industry. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $1,050 million, but couldn't imagine streaming would replace physical rentals. These weren't failures of expertise. These organizations were masters of their domains. They were failures of imagination. The most dangerous vulnerabilities aren't the obvious threats we prepare for. They're the tiny blind spots we never consider. As financial advisor Carl Richards puts it, risk is what's left over after you think you've thought of everything. In business and life, it's rarely 100 small mistakes that sink us. It's the one critical oversight no one saw coming. What if our greatest danger isn't what we can see, but what we've never thought to look for? Our brains are wired with psychological biases that blind us to unexpected threats. Consider confirmation bias. We actively seek information that supports what we already believe, dismissing warning signs that contradict our worldview. And normalcy bias convinces us that tomorrow will be just like today, even when evidence suggests otherwise. Remember NASA's Victor Prather. Despite meticulous planning, it was an unconsidered risk that led to tragedy when water rushed into his open faceplate. The biggest threats aren't the ones we prepare for. They're the ones no one imagined. Perhaps most dangerous is what we call the expertise paradox. The very specialists we trust to protect us often have the largest blind spots. Their deep knowledge creates tunnel vision. Financial advisors missed the 2008 crisis. Intelligence experts overlooked 9/11's warning signs. The more you know about a domain, the harder it becomes to see it from fresh perspectives. As Carl Richards says, risk is what's left over after you think you've thought of everything. Finally, we face complexity blindness. Our modern world has become a tangled web of interdependent systems, financial markets, supply chains, climate patterns, and digital networks. As these systems grow more intricate, our ability to anticipate failure points diminishes exponentially. Each new connection creates countless potential breaking points that remain invisible until they rupture. COVID-19 revealed how a single disruption can cascade through our interconnected world. The uncomfortable truth is that our most sophisticated systems may be the most vulnerable, not despite their complexity, but because of it. The biggest risks aren't just hidden, they're invisible to our current way of thinking. Like NASA astronaut Victor Prather, who survived the edge of space only to drown because of an open faceplate no one considered a threat. This is the nature of true risk. What remains after experts think they've thought of everything. So how do we see the invisible? First, by flipping our thinking with premortems. Unlike postmortems that analyze failures after they happen, premortems ask, imagine our project has failed catastrophically, what caused it? This simple perspective shift reveals blind spots in our planning before disaster strikes. One study showed premortems increased problem identification by 30%. Next, embrace the outsider advantage. People from different fields bring fresh perspectives unburdened by your industry's conventional wisdom. The financial analyst who doesn't understand your business model might be pointing out exactly what you're missing, not because they're experts, but because they're not. Finally, institutionalize red team thinking. Military and intelligence agencies create dedicated teams whose sole purpose is finding flaws in primary strategies. These professional skeptics create psychological safety for dissent and ensure the question, "What are we missing?" becomes part of your culture. Because remember, risk isn't what you can see coming. Real risk is what's left over after you've prepared for everything else. Think of NASA astronaut Victor Prather, who successfully tested a spacesuit at the edge of space, only to drown when a tiny oversight, an open faceplate, allowed water to rush in during a routine ocean rescue. Despite thousands of experts planning for every contingency, it was the unforeseen risk that proved fatal. This illustrates a profound truth. The most dangerous threats are often invisible until they strike. COVID-19, 9011. Pearl Harbor. These weren't just significant events, they were surprises that few saw coming. As financial advisor Carl Richards notes, risk is what's left over after you think you've thought of everything. So, how do we navigate a world of invisible risks? First, prioritize resilience over prediction. Instead of trying to forecast every possibility, build systems flexible enough to absorb shocks and adapt when they come. Second, embrace intellectual humility. Acknowledging the limits of our foresight isn't weakness, it's the foundation of sound risk management. Finally, implement a prepare-adapt cycle. Rather than one-time planning, create regular systems to evaluate emerging threats and adjust accordingly. The future will always surprise us, but by building adaptable systems, maintaining humility about what we know, and continuously learning, we can better weather the storms we never saw coming. The greatest risks aren't the dangers we see coming. They're the ones lurking in our blind spots. Stay vigilant, embrace uncertainty, and remember, true preparation means being ready for the unexpected. What invisible risks are you overlooking in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this video opened your eyes to unseen dangers, subscribe to RockVein for more insights that prepare you for life's biggest challenges. Stay vigilant, stay prepared,